The United States government recently came to a deal with the company MP Materials, promising to be a purchaser of their products and to have a 15% share in their business. This comes about out of concerns that the rare earth mineral industry is too much based in China. All countries have a need to be self-sufficient. The conversations that the United States is having at the moment are happening in Europe, as they have been in Japan too over the past decade. As an individual, we should be interested in this subject as we all use devices like our computers and mobile phones that require these rare earths in order to function. Even if you are Chinese, you might be in China wanting to purchase an Apple product because you really like it. This will be affected by these policies. And even if you don't like Apple, you as a Chinese citizen might want to see good relations between the United States and China continue so that our lives can all continue to get better. This deal with MP Materials is not a one-off thing. Recently, Intel also saw the American government take a small percentage in their business. There have been some negative responses to this new trend. The podcast China Talk, a very good podcast on US-China relations, recently found the host saying that this new trend reminds him of the Maoist era when the Chinese government decided which companies would be successful and which ones would fail. The New York Times also had a headline that compared the present to China, saying that America was going away from its free market ideals. And this is something that we're seeing on the right as well. Older conservatives are saying that this is betraying America's free market policies. But these people might not be aware that the paradigm is shifting. The paradigm that has ruled American economic policy for the past 40 years since Ronald Reagan has been this idea of neoliberalism. But I don't believe that this is a right or left thing. Bernie Sanders was on board the Intel deal, and even Biden was trying to reindustrialize America to some extent, believing that the neoliberal policy had failed somewhat. After COVID, people realized that having too much of our manufacturing in one country was not a good idea. But let's go back a bit and explain what is neoliberalism. As I said, it began with Reagan, especially influenced by the economist Milton Friedman, who believed that the free market was more important than anything else, and that people should basically be left to their own devices to survive. Not totally, but basically. This policy, even though Ronald Reagan was on the right, it followed through in the 1990s on the Democrat side too. We saw Bill Clinton open up the World Trade Organization to China, which eventually led to a lot of companies going there to manufacture. This is a policy that a lot of people in the United States still are angry about, although the data on this is still debated a lot. But we can agree that maybe a lot of people have been left behind over the past 20, 40 years. Even on the left, we see this graph shown around that wages have not gone up in line with other things. Even George Bush has been attacked on the right for being this neoliberal person. Not a good sentence there, but oh well. And even Obama on the left has been critiqued for having a neoliberal approach, especially during the 2008 financial crisis. People believed that he could have come about with a New Deal, but instead he chose another policy. Of course, the Democrats could have done more, but they were also constrained by just the basic structure of the United States. They need to appeal to voters, and appearing to left will lose in the end. But a lot of people say that maybe Obama could have done better in around 2010 and later if he had taken more of a similar policy to Roosevelt in the 1930s. But if this free market ideology is beginning to fade, and we're seeing both the Republicans and the Democrats begin to have more intervention in the economy, I believe that more Americans should be asking for more intervention in other areas that will help their lives, most notably higher taxes on richer people and better healthcare. Over the past 40 years, whenever these two policies have been pushed forward, One of the most common arguments is that we can't do that because it's against the free market. The government doing anything is anti-free market. But now that both parties are intervening in the economy in certain areas, that argument is no longer valid. Regardless of whether you are on the left or right, you want to see your fellow Americans doing well. And I believe that the problem of the neoliberal policy of the past 25 years is that the government forgot to look after its own people. And so you should be pushing for more policies like higher taxes on the wealthy and better healthcare.